If you're looking for ways to make better animations inside After Effects, then this video and the technique that we're talking about is for you. We are going to be talking about how you can utilize your keyframes and make them more dynamic by utilizing the graph editor and Easy Ease. If that's something you're into, stick around because this quick tip tutorial is going to blow your socks off. Internet, what's going on? It's your boy Robert Teegarden back again with another video. Today we are building on my previous video of the very basic fundamentals of how to utilize After Effects. If you haven't seen that video, I suggest you pause this one, go watch it again. It should be in a card up here somewhere, and you can see the different techniques that we used, very basic techniques to get you started in After Effects that this video is going to build on. Now, where we left off in the last video is that we had utilized scale, opacity, mask reveals, and position keyframes in order to get very basic text motion graphics to have revealed on this stock piece of footage that I've got going on. And today what I'm going to do is build off of those techniques, and I'm going to start to use the graph editor to make my keyframes a little bit more kinetic and dynamic so that you can see what those techniques look like if it's not just a start, stop, and linear curve. Let's jump on into After Effects. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So as you can see here, what we did the last time is we had this layer right here. That is a text layer saying goal for this fake footage on a fake soccer game with fake people celebrating a fake goal, all things fake. But this video, like I said in the last one, is very real, and so are these techniques. And so what we're doing is you can see that these actual keyframes are just the little diamonds. They're nothing special. That literally means that they're treating them from a starting point to an ending point. It's just one single line that's being drawn across time. And that can be fine, and sometimes that's exactly what we need. But in these instances, it's not very dynamic, and we can do better. So the first thing I want to do is actually add a scale keyframe in here as well, because I think that that would be fun to see. And so I'll just quickly add a keyframe. If you watched my video from before, you'll definitely know exactly how to do this and why I'm doing it so quickly. So let's animate those properties. Now, the easiest way to get this stuff to work better for you off the rip in literally like a click of a button, well, maybe like a couple clicks, is that you go into these like little layers here, right? Our transform properties that we have been animating, which is our position, scale, and opacity transform properties. I'm going to click and drag all of my keyframes. I'm going to highlight them with that little blue button, and then I'm going to click F9, function 9 on my keyboard. And those keyframes are going to change from your normal standard keyframes to what we call Easy Ease keyframes. Boom, like that. So now they look like an hourglass. They went from a diamond, I think they just split them apart, flipped the diamonds up on top of one another, and now you have an hourglass. But the thing that's interesting here is you can see in these transform properties, right? This is the graph editor. Let's just select our scale because that'll be the easiest to see. And so now with Easy Ease, what I have is this kind of like linear, almost looks a little bit like a sine curve. You remember when you were in geometry and algebra in high school, or maybe you're in high school and you see that little sine curve? It's a nice little gradual curve, right? What happens if I remove my Easy Ease and I go back, and now you should see that if I just select my scale property one more time, that it's just a straight linear curve, right? So this is interesting, and there's definitely some techniques that we want to be able to playlist. So I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to make everything Easy Ease one more time. I'm going to select my scale. Okay. I'm going to go into this little thing right here, this graph editor. Now, you can start to click on these different key points, and you see Bezier handles that are there for us to move around and to work with. If I start to move these things around, interesting things start to happen. It's actually the velocity in which that animation is happening. So if I utilize this one, what's going to happen is that it's going to scale up quickly, but then slow down towards the end, right? And the more that I increase that velocity, you'll see the faster that that property happens, that the scale happens. So effectively, it's almost at the full scale before we even see the mask get revealed, right? So let's say if I want to do a better way to say this is if I just put this side down here, bring this back to 100, and then I reverse the key. Okay, so now what's going to happen is that as the mask reveals, it's going to actually slowly animate and then increase right at the end because of how aggressive that curve towards the end is, right? So let's see that one. Whoop, and whoop, and whoop again, right? So what do we know now that we've actually started to animate this? If I want my animations to happen quickly in the beginning and slow down across time. Then I want to make my animation or move the velocity of my animation with my Bezier handles towards the left-hand side. What are you guys looking at? Towards the left-hand side of the graph, like you're seeing right now on the screen. So this will make my animations happen quickly and then slow down across time. But the opposite is true as well. If I want my animations to start off slowly but then increase over time, then I want to put my animations or the curve of the animations to the right-hand side of the graph. It's like we saw at the end of this one, right? It scales up very quickly. The velocity of that animation scales up very quickly over time. You can also start to kind of pull things this way. So it actually will be something that's slow, but then increases over time like this. Whoop, whoop. So these actually start to make things a little bit more dynamic. And I want to actually just, let's remove our mask for 2 seconds, right? Let's put none just so you can see what's happening. So it kind of scales a little bit quicker and slows itself down over time. And so you can start to play around with exactly what these handles look like and how you want your properties to behave across time. So the things that I'll start to do is start to match what the keyframe animations look like. So we have one for position. Let's kind of do something similar to what we have here. And we actually need to separate our dimensions because we're only moving, I think we're only moving in the y-axis. Make them both easy ease like we did before. Okay, go into our graph editor and you can see our handles again, right? So let's say we wanted this thing to happen and for it to scale up fast, kind of pretty fast, right? As that's happening, and we're scaling up quickly. Whoop. Let's see if we remove our opacity keyframes and just keep that here the whole time. You can see it a little bit better, right? So that actually matches more what we would do and experience in real life. Almost never do you have something that's just very linear and static in the way that it moves. It feels odd and robotic to us. But we do have an understanding of starting and then stopping slowly, or starting quickly and stopping faster. Like, that's all just kinetic energy and inertia, which we actually feel and experience as humans in our everyday life all the time, right? It's one of Newton's laws and principles. An object that stays in motion wants to stay in motion, or an object that is in motion wants to stay. This isn't a physics class. We're talking about After Effects here. But you can see that now things start to kind of move in a little bit more human way, a little more dynamic way, a little more kinetic, right? And so those are the things that we're trying to utilize here and what we're trying to adapt to our animations in any way, shape, or form. So the technique that I often use is that I'll start to set my easy ease, I'll go into my graph editor, and then I'll start to match up all the different types of animations that I have. My scale, my position, my masking will all sort of emulate the same type of curve so that they happen in similar instances so that it all feels natural and kinetic. Last little thing I'll do sometimes if I hit this toggle switches and modes is I'll go in and add some motion blur. I'll let that thing render, and you can see now that it starts to feel a little more dynamic in the way in which it's being handled, because you're starting to see, you see how it blurs a little bit here? Things feel less static and robotic, and they start to move in a way in which that we would experience things in real life. So that, ladies and germs, is a way in which we can enhance our very basic animation principles that we utilize from the transform properties and give them a little more life, right? A little more life with easy ease and utilizing your graph editor. There's a ton of possibilities for you to utilize, but that's generally the basic principles of what we want. The left-hand side of the graph moves things more aggressively. The right-hand side slows things down a little bit. And so you move across time, you can get these animations to be exactly what you're looking for and stack them on top of one another so that you can experience more than one property at the same time, because usually things aren't just very myopic and narrowly focused. If you like this video, like the damn video. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for posting notifications. If you like this sort of stuff, tell me exactly what you loved in the comments and how I can add more value to you and expand on this stuff so that I know exactly how to serve you the best way I possibly can. This is Teegarden with another video in the can. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.